TDG, don't you have a DC committee to follow up this one? Dineo, DTG is going to constitute a DC for you.
Thank you. We are to start now and would like to apologize to start at this time. We planned to start at 9 o'clock, but the time now is 8 minutes to 10. We really apologize for that. Maybe as we start, colleagues, let me ask all of us just to observe a moment of silence, and we pray in our own ways. If if we are tandazayo, just a few minutes, colleagues. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so Thank you so much. Colleagues, let me welcome all of you who are here today to listen to our MEC. And today is a special day for the Department of Education. I know that we used to have these media briefings at Mandla Makopula Institute in East London, but today we chose to come here for a purpose. We are about this center that we are in now. So that's why the media briefing is here. I know some of you colleagues had challenges traveling in from East London, but we really welcome and thank all of you for coming. Let me introduce the senior members that are in front of you, for those that are here for the first time, if there are any. Ngapha ngase kunene kwam, I have the Honorable MEC, Utatu Kade, Udlamini. On his right, I have my DDG, Mrs. Mastorp, DDG for Corporate Management. Kula couch in Klebo Mvupayana, I have DDG IOM, Mr. Mkida. I also have Tatu Reitwakati, the DDG for Curriculum. I have senior, or let me say, I have Utlamin Wakuti again, Mr. Zazela, representing Corporate Strategy, Mr. Maseu, Dlamini Bayagbona. I have my Chief Director, I have my Chief Director, Mr. Mtingi, and next to him is the Chief of Staff, Utatu Sogujika. Yes, Masha again. Cool. I have Miss Tembo, or Miss Tembo. I have Gapa Kwake, Miss Mbokela from the Office of the MEC. Moving on at the back there, I have Sisnganga Tanga from the Office of the MEC as well. I have my usual team from communications. There is Mr. Mtima somewhere. I think he's seated in front here. There is Noblali, there is Dinewo, all the young and beautiful ladies behind there. They are all from communications. We have the team from the Citizen Care Center that we are about today, led by Miss Mkona, who's also next to me here. Otherwise, colleagues, I think let me, I've done all the introductions from our side. Members of the media, I think at an opportune time, you will introduce yourselves. Let us allow the MEC colleagues to take us through the statement of today. Over to you, MEC.
Program Director, let me thank you first and the entire top management that we have with us today, led by the DDGs and the media houses that were with us, our SGBs across the length and breadth of the province, people of the Eastern Cape province, NPOs and NGOs with interest in education that assist us in making sure that we shape up for the betterment of the lives of those that we serve. Today, colleagues, as the program director has indicated, we felt we must bring this facility to your attention, but also at the heartbeat of that is to ensure of the messaging of government in ensuring that we improve the service that government is rendering to the people, creating all sorts of platforms that can be able to be utilized as a machinery to make sure that at least we embetter the lives of those that depends to state interventions. You would understand, first and foremost, the character of the province we are, which is predominantly a province that is constituted by destitutes. So any failure of government interventions can create a paralysis in terms of how people perceive government and how government service them. I'm bringing that to your attention to understand how serious this Citizen Care Center is in closing up the gap between those that must service the people and the ones that must receive the service. So in essence, it's about building a capacity of the state to ensure that at least there is a responsive government in all facets of the operations of government. At an appropriate time, you will be given an opportunity to engage us via the demonstrations. What are these elements that are here? How do they operate? What assistance do they bring to the public that we're talking about? What is the lifespan of an inquiry that has received here? So that we can go to that extent, colleagues. I felt like let me start there so that you have got a bigger picture of why you are here and why we have taken a decision to collect all inquiries to a strategic center so as to disperse them within a particular time frame that is required in government. Colleagues, today we have convened this media briefing with only few days left until the last day of the writing of the examinations for the current academic year. And however, allow us, ladies and gentlemen, again to send our deepest condolences to the families of the learners whose lives were cut short by shameless criminals. Sithi kubo akuhlanga lungehlanga. May their innocent souls rest in peace. We understand the pain that they are going through and hope that the law enforcement agencies will leave no stone unturned so as to ensure that the justice is served and bring some kind of closure into those broken hearts. In a short space of time from now, we happen to be visited by these criminals. Awuzukuthi ke because yenzeke out of the school environment as government and don't take up ownership. Omnye wabo uyangcwatywa namhlanje apha eMdantsane. Abayi-2 bazawungcwatywa ngomso eMthatha. and we have tried our level best to ensure that at least government intervenes. But what I would lift for you as part of the content to engage the public as media houses, it's whether DDG Jwakati, are we ignorant enough to see that the country is undergoing a social infrastructure collapse? And what does that mean? Can we succeed on any ambitions we have as a nation undergoing a crisis of a social infrastructure collapse where everybody's right? Everybody's right up until it has been proven by court, even on matters that are very straightforward, like this one. Uxabana nomuntu phaa estratweni uzobulala abantu apha. So we must wait up until the court pronounces you not innocent. Otherwise. So I'm saying there is a need of a serious discussion, in my view, if we want to snip the crime in the bud. It's very much unfortunate, unnecessarily, quite dangerous, and disastrous, of course. Because remember, those families might have their hopes, ambitions, anchored and pillared in those three boys. So for me, it's not just about the loss of life. It's about a shutdown of the development of those three families. Because we are not tourists here. We know for a fact that once a family has got an educated individual, there comes a bit of a shift in terms of the economic spin-offs and the development of that particular family. So for me, it's not just about criminal death, but about a shutdown of the ambitions of those families. Now you are subjecting those families for the next 30 years, I can tell you, on welfarist social grant system of government, understanding the impact that the country is undergoing to of a jobless economy, by the way. So you can't flood government with people that it depends on grant system. You see? So those are the implications of this thing. It's not just about them short and dead. It's about a replica of a dependency on the state security grant system, which must be avoided. So I'm lifting up these issues so that we understand the depth and the implications of this crime that we are confronted with, colleagues. Program Director, we have set aside this day for the launch of the EC, of the Eastern Cape Department of Education's upgraded citizen care center that is meant to service the citizens of this province. The Citizens Care Unit was established in 2018, by the way, but started operating in 2019. However, due to some challenges and changing times, we ought to improve it so that it can meet the demand, it can meet the challenges that we're confronted with on day-to-day basis. We improved the technologies. The department took a decision to engage in a process of improving, revitalizing, and upgrading of its Citizens Care Center. This upgraded focused on the leveraging mobile technologies to foster the improved communications between Department of Education and the community at large. The aim is to bolster the service delivery, monitor progress, optimize administrative efficiency, and leveraging back office agents across various directorates to address matters raised by communities and clients. The new system, which is now called CRM, is user-friendly and has got more features than the previous one, including the use of 4 languages spoken in the previous: English, Xhosa, Afrikaans, and Sotho. I said earlier on, one key strategic question here that we must answer: how do you build a responsive government? And how do you build confidence and trust of the public to government? What is the turnaround time of a problem that has been set to government? So that the deficit that you have between the public and their own government is minimized and uprooted if needs be. So I'm saying these are interventions and initiatives that we have taken through. The existing toll-free number 080 1212570 facilitate community engagements by allowing citizens to make inquiries, log complaints, and submit requests. A new notable feature of this upgrade is the integration of all WhatsApp lines designed for citizens to log, complain, and capture decisions from social media platforms such as departmental Facebook page, Twitter, which has now linked to the system for speedily resolution of issues raised through these platforms and SMS facilities. These are all endeavors to ensure that the department is reachable to anyone and everyone and prove that we are a caring government and a caring department. Unfortunately, colleagues, we are a government that is currently engaged or leading a society that evolves. So the evolution of the society that we are leading requires changing of strategies. And hence you are not relevant if you don't have Facebook page now. If you don't have a social media page, you are not relevant. Precisely because gone are the days where it's only you who are media people. Everybody in this country is a media person by virtue of having a cell phone. So you can't say we must wait for a letter that has been written by a complainer. Immediately that thing is seen in a social media, somebody must pick up and respond once and for all. Precisely because I'm saying the technological advancement on the media space has made the global village a bit shorter and has converted everybody to be a media person. Uzoyifota lando, uyifake ku social media. You're not a credible institution of media, but I can tell you, people are going to respond in various forms. So you needed to be in advance in almost all the aspects of life, respond accordingly. Hence I'm saying, we just needed to go with times and be able to see what is it that is making government to be a bit not taken seriously sometimes. So hence we are introducing those platforms so that we can engage each other. Even in terms of the policy discourse themselves, we can be able to deal with that. Ladies and gentlemen, the Department of Education should also take a lead in innovation and transformation for the better life of all. We are a molder and a builder of future generations, and therefore, critical thinking should be always the order of the day in this sector. Hence, these new developments in our systems, various government entities have now approached the Department of Education to benchmark on this question. We are a Department of Education. The NDP we are all talking about depends on the clarity of this department. You will never see artisans if the content of artisans is not in the grade R content. You will never see any stream or faculty to advance the interest of this nation in a global village without basic education and higher education being clearer of what should be done in terms of the growth of the intellect of the nation that we seek to build. So we are at the beginning and the end of life here. So urhulumente uxhomekeke apho bakucingwa kanjani. Hence I'm saying that NDP that you see depends whether there is an appreciation of content in basic education to achieve to that target. Otherwise, if our systems, our curriculum, content, our targets are unable to give clarity as to get into that target that we have set, there is going to be a problem. So hence I'm saying it's going to be important that from time to time we review the strategies, we look into the blind spots, we check whether the relevance of the department in servicing the people, for that matter, even far beyond the mandate of this sector. Far beyond the mandate of this sector. So we must stabilize families as well. That's not our constitutional mandate. But I'm saying, if you have got kids that are not stable socially and psychosocially, you are not going to make it here in the education. So you need to always check and balance what are the strategic opponents of the ambitions of this sector, and how do you respond to those questions, colleagues? In the context of the writing examinations, colleagues, who have already said that we are almost at the tail end of it now on writing examinations, which started on the 30th of October with 953 full-time and 127 independent centers. These exams are progressing well with minimum irregularities reported across the province. However, let me indicate that the number of candidates who got 6 this time around was alarming, very high compared to previous years. There was 51 candidates that were hospitalized, but in a stable condition, where doctors indicated that were fit to write. The department had to employ trained invigilators to afford them to affected candidates an opportunity to write examinations. Community protest also posed a challenge in writing of these examinations, colleagues, in particular in OR Tambo Coastal. However, with the assistance of SAP, no candidates were disadvantaged, as they had to be compensated with time due to the lack to start the examinations. I think I must emphasize this, DDG Jwagati. It can't be right, and I'm saying it can't be right. It can't be right that when you have got a conflict over traditional authority, now we must stop writing examinations here. It can't be right. And it's high time that we tell you. You clash over who must be a chief here in your own family, in your own kraal. And now you must close roads, and kids must not write examinations in the period scheduled. Because you have failed to convince yourselves first who must be a chief in your own family. And now kids must then be found wanting whether are they going to write examinations or not, on a peripheral matter that has got nothing to do with us as a sector. So I'm saying we must take responsibility, all of us. We must take responsibility. I'm raising this, DDG Jwagati, because in that coastal belt area, this thing was happening in Nyandi. And at the center of it was a conflict over tribal authority. And the Department of COPTA was hell-bent dealing with this question. But precisely because there is a culture in this province of wanting to do things outside the scope of law. And when they disagree with COPTA on whatever that was proposed to deal with the matter at hand, and therefore you must stop shop in terms of government facilities. And I'm saying that must stop. And that is going to stop, by the way. That is going to stop. Watch that space. Because we must be able to respect, all of us, the constitution of this country. Especially when it comes to the future of this country, the learners that we have. If those learners were not allowed to write, for example, examinations, they were going to be deferred to another period of writing examinations. frustrating kids because of us as elders could not be able to reach out to each other. It can't be right. It can't be allowed. It must be stopped. As examinations will complete currently on the 5th of December, we are marking a call to all learners not to engage themselves into any form of pens down celebrations, as this has led to negative consequences in the past. We further urge parents and broader society to collaborate with us in dealing with this question. And I think we must remind you, the Enyobeni issue arises out of this. And I think all of us, both as government and as people of this province, and also people across this country, has learned one or two lessons out of this. It can't be right that ulonwabo lwakho must be a threat to your living. And we treat that as something that is normal. Sentsho singake sonwabe man noba sonwabanga ngutywala. Nyanzelekanga uba xa kuzoko kunwatywe kubekho utywala. You see? Singake sonwabe noba kunotywanga ngutywala. So this thing yokokubana we are on the third spot, DDG, Mastor. By the way, we are rated as the most drunkard nation in the world. We are on the third spot, ngokunxila kwihlabathi. We are on the third spot, ngokunxila kwihlabathi. So those that have got ambitions to lead this country must understand the crisis. You can't be rated number 3 in the world, being a drunkard nation. You can't be rated number 3. Something is wrong here, and something must be stopped. Must be stopped. It must be stopped. Otherwise, you run a risk here of having a hollow state and a state that cannot command respect to the citizens that it is leading. I'm raising this matter in the context of the Penstown. The appetite is very high in creating these platforms. But ingxaki yayo lento xa iphuma neziphumo zayo akho mntu ufuna uowna apha. Kho mntu ufuna uowna ngoku xa kukho isidumbu out of this thing. And I'm then saying the first hurdle that must be dealt with here, why are we number 3 on the international ratings as drunkard nation? For you to deal with this pens down thing, the broader question, kutheni xa kubonwa amanxila kwihlabathi nathi sikhonjwa kuwo sibalwa kula manxila ehlabathi? Why? So I'm saying we must be able to understand, so that these young ones must understand where the nation is driven to and why we are stopping this thing. Otherwise, if it is not stopped, we will be number 1 next time. We are currently number 3, but if it is not stopped, we will be number 1 next time. And I'm saying, akho nto ifuna sasicengane kule nto. Ubana ngaba sicinga uba ifuture yeli lizwe isetywaleni, let that be stopped. Asithi utywala burongo mabungaselwa, but we're saying, let's be responsible, colleagues. Let's be responsible. We're building a future of this country here, even post our living as the current generation. So the current ones that are coming must be able to get this country intact as it was before us. In terms of the admissions, colleagues, without wasting your time, the plans are placed for schools readiness in 2024. But we'll give a full blow-by-blow on this question. We are reconvening the media briefing before the 15th of December, so that we deal with the issue of admissions thoroughly. Ngobani aba basaqhubekeka nomkhuba wokucinga into yobana funeka bagcina abantwana eKapa kwale ngoDisemba ngoJanuwari xa bengafumananga imisebenzi eKapa bazofuna abantu ofunela izikolo abantwana apha? Ngobani aba bashiphume ezilalini bazohlala eMonti? By names. kwale xa kufuneka kufaka abantwana esikolweni abantwana abanandawo. Currently we have got 4 districts that are a hotspot on this matter. It's East London, Buffalo City, Nelson Mandela, Queenstown, and Mthatha. If you look very closely to that, you will see that these are economic hubs of the province, which means there is a disintegration. There is a disintegration of government's planning, which results into this. Uba kaloku iBuffalo City yakhula economically, ine-impact kuthi kwa-education, Lord. And there must be a plan that talks to that. If Nelson Mandela iyakhula as a metro, ine-impact kwi-plan yakwa-education, Lord. If KSD is growing in terms of people coming closer to KSD for either looking for jobs or looking for settlements, that has got an impact in terms of infrastructure of education in that areas. And hence you will get this debate that I'm raising. But I'm then saying, colleagues, we'll come to blow by blow on this matter. Just to ease you, we are currently at 920 unplaced learners as we speak now. It's almost a school. If you can take that 920, it's almost a school. So, and it's quite a huge number, but it's found across all these areas that I'm talking about. But also the Alwal North is beginning to be a thorn in the flesh of this crisis. Albeit the fact that we have got a new school that we have just built last year in Alwal North, the Alwal North High. But it's beginning to be a problem on this particular matter. But again, colleagues, I think we will give you a finer detail on this particular matter. Let me not waste your time on this. In terms of the learner support material, the department has appointed 55 publishers to supply textbooks for 4,992 schools across the province. The total value for the ordered textbooks was 219 million, and 41 distributors were appointed for delivery. It is worth noting that delivery of textbooks started on the 10th of October, and a month later, in 2022. To date, the distribution has managed to give us 99.8% on textbooks for the first time in this province. We are done with learner support material in the context of textbooks and also in the context of the stationery that has been a thorn in the flesh of this government. So at a level of stationery, we're at 100%. Now, DDGs and district directors are commissioning principals of schools before they close. Indicate to us whether those books are in quality that was expected or not. The issue now is no longer about whether they arrived or not. We have dealt with that question. The issue now is whether the service providers that were commissioned to do this task have not defrauded the state. Give material that was not the one that was expected. I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but I'm saying government must take responsibility at all material times and must anticipate a problem. Because I'm saying to you, it's for the first time that we have got stationery and textbook almost a month before the closure of schools. So hence we are looking at the blind spots now. And colleagues, again, I would want to give you an indication, because when you have got bigger contracts like this, the question always remains at DDG Chwakati, what are the economic spin-offs of those contracts? Have the people of the province benefited out of that? So we have been able, colleagues, to appoint to appoint 7 station manufacturers and 5 LED partners to supply those stationery for 2024 to the 4,802 schools from grade R to grade 12 at a total value of at a total value of 268 million. But I'm saying critically to us is also to look into how best do we feed to the economic development of the province, so that you don't just take a decision that doesn't talk to the crisis you have of unemployed youth that is there. The fact of the matter, this is a department, DTG Mastorp, which has got a lion's share in terms of the fiscus of the province. The 45% of the budget of this province comes to this department. So for me, it's not just about giving schools books, giving schools S&P, giving schools school norms and for funding. To what extent does that create jobs for the people of the province? I'm saying to you, this is the department that has got a lion's share of the fiscus. So you need to also look whether you have got an impact in terms of the livelihood of the people of the province beyond the academic mandate that you have, because of the size of the budget that we are using in any intervention that you are dealing with. In terms of the office currently, colleagues, the SGP is coming to an end on the 30th of February 2024, and all schools are required to elect new SGPs. And on the 13th of July 2024, the minister issued a gazette, number 48952, declaring the 1st of March to 31st of March 2024 as a period of the next SGP elections. This is another milestone that must be looked into. I'm not sure whether must I raise this, TTG kid. You are conducting elections of SGPs just a couple of months before the national elections. I'm not sure whether you have observed that. That's one. Two, you are conducting SGP elections of schools in an environment that is a bit hostile. Hostile in the sense that everyone is a survivalist economically. If this thing is not properly managed, vetted, scrutinized, make sure that relevant people emerges here. I can tell you now, you are running a risk of schools tend to be procurement centers. Watch that space. Because they are going to use the statutory and legitimacy from a legal point of view of being the boards of schools to convert schools into procurement centers, intensifying that debate of decentralization of critical functions here. Intensifying that debate, and I want to be on record on this. You take that decision of decentralizing these major contracts into schools, forget about having schools in this country. close shop and take your bags and go home. You can't convert schools into procurement centers and expect them to be able to do the constitutional mandate that they have. I-problem yethu ke singabantu abothukayo lonke ixesha. Yabona ngoku wonke umuntu umisa ngomasipala abangaperformiyo. Kubani bengayazi into yobana once you take a function to local municipalities uzawuba ne-problem ye-procurement. And uzawuba ne-problem ye-underperformance in local municipalities. You are then changing now the goalpost, bring that here into schools. Bring that here into schools using Section 21 of the South African Schools Act as a buffer for that debate. And I'm then saying we have to choose between being a schooling system that is credible, that has got all challenges, of course, that are not insurmountable, but I can tell you, once you allow a situation where schools becomes procurement centers, you are gravitating towards the crisis that local government is confronted with every day. Bazawubulalana abantu bangqamele laa nto la decentralization. Sinengxaki yenkabi apha that started in KZN. They are visiting now the Eastern Cape. Recently, kubulawa i-official lapha eBuffalo City. Up until today's date, nobody knows. And we're not tourists. We know that that official is critical in terms of the procurement of Buffalo City. Even if we cannot answer in detail what could have been prompt that reason. But I'm saying, you can't allow that thing to happen here. You can't allow that thing to happen here because ebeke kwenzeka loo nto, i-focus izawushifta. Ishifte iye kule nto inemali oyizisa esikolweni. By the way, part of the money that we're unable to account for is the money that is at schools. Kucinywa umbane apha program director almost every day by Eskom. Why? Because schools have not paid municipal services. And funeka ingathethwa loo nto. Uba kucinywa umbane ezwelitsha abasebenzi baphuma early because kufuna umasipala ufuna 5 million, for example, to pay. Where is this 5 million coming from? Well, this 5 million was not budgeted for this. You have been given money to pay your municipal services, and you didn't pay it. Now, because out of the crisis we must pay that 5 million to local municipality to save the image of the people of the province and the department entirely. So I'm saying there are things that cannot be allowed to happen. Cannot be allowed to happen. If you have been given a money from the public purse, at least you must be able to explain what is it that has happened about it. Hence, I'm saying this issue of transfers, colleagues, is a very good thing, and it remains a matter that makes our schools functional, critical priorities for the department to focus on. But equally, colleagues, the issue of the school funding norms is not an issue in the province. Hayi ndilungiselela naba kuthiwa bebelapha izolo lenye bafike ndingekho. It's not an issue. DDG Mastorp. Currently we are at 1.6. 1,602 per learner in quintile 1 to 3, which is a national benchmark. So where does this debate come from? Where does this debate come from? Currently, we are at 1,602 rands per learner, which is a national norm. So there is no another norm except that one. Currently, we are at 803 for quintile 4 and 278 for quintile 5. Again, national norms. We were there a year back. We're not there now. we have taken money to then transfer it to schools so that we can be able to standardize, synergize, revitalize the culture of learning in the province and focus more on the content of what must be taught in our institutions of learning. So I'm saying there is no debate, there is absolutely no debate about school funding norms. That's a fallacy. There is no such a thing. So people must understand where we are, probably case because we have not been able to meet them at DDG Mkhize to clarify that. But at least nabo man makhe bacela inhlanganiso before they march man. Yeah, ukucela meeting, uthi hayi ngicela meeting no MEC okanye ngicela meeting ne DDGs just to clarify certain things, you see, so that we don't find ourselves having to backlash each other on matters that are not there. So I'm saying it's no neither there nor here in the school funding norms. Colleagues, as we wrap up, I would want to also assure you that in terms of the national, in terms of the original funds allocated in the NSF in 2023, we have carried through over the medium-term expenditure framework the outer years, and meaning that the additional funding received was only for 2023. Last week we were engaged with the provincial treasurer in terms of getting more money to square up the challenges that were there. But the threat, as I'm saying, to that, Yoba, you have a risk of the outer years, not for this department, general, but generally for government. If you eat for the monies of the medium-term expenditure framework currently on the basis of the challenges you have got a risk of the outer years. So I'm just lifting it up, Londo, so that you can consider. The additional budget was 594 million 669,000, which will take us to 2024-2025 in terms of the equitable shares. But again, as I'm concluding, we have done our level best with these DDGs, the HOD, the stakeholders in education, and also the civic movement of the province in ensuring that we stabilize the sector. We have tried our level best to improve the results to 77.8% last time. Our target is 80% now. Yes, of course, you may argue to say almost 2% that you require. It's not a child's play, that one, but of course, if you look back in terms of the past 3 to 4 years, we have been consistently improving by 5%. And that's why it was easy for us to make that determination. But also looking into the capacity of ourselves in dealing with the crowd pulling subjects, your mathematics, your physical sciences, your business studies, your accounting, your economics and social sciences. At least you are performing quite very well there. So which I can assure you and the people of the province that at least you will be able to be above 80, by the way. But what I think is critical for us moving forward, as a food for thought, is that currently we have got a system that is on the rise. Meaning that we have got more learners coming out of the out of the province that they were coming back to the province. Last year, for example, we were at 1.6 million. Currently, we are at 1.7 plus million. Now, here is the discussion or the debate that I'm bringing to you. the more the system is stabilizing, the more the pass rate is upward, on the upward trajectory, the more the threat on the infrastructure rollout plan. So you need to be anticipative that as a system isinika i-results eziright, inikisa umdla ebazalini, bebuya abantwana eKapa, bebuya abantwana eKZN, bebuya abantwana eGauteng, improve i-learner population yethu. What does that mean in terms of the infrastructure plan? Because if you don't answer that question, you run a risk of overcrowded classrooms very soon. So as you celebrate their pass rate, how do you deal with additional classrooms that are going to be needed? So bendisithi mandivale lesi statement ngalo mazwi nobulela kubantu baseMpuma Koloni for the time that they have given to us, and also the zeal and patience that they have given to us in managing their lives, because managing education, in essence, managing lives of the people. And unfortunately, this is the last national senior certificate that we are going to conduct as this government. Yes. The other national senior certificate will be conducted by another government that will emerge in June. This is the last national senior certificate for this government. So it's going to be important, DDGs, that we compile a report that takes us from 2019 to at least April next year, so that the HOD that is coming by May or whatever time that he or she will come after the OTP has finalized the appointment of the HOD, and the MEC that is coming in June, July, understands where we are. Three things that MEC must understand here. Here you need a hybrid approach that talks to the upward growth of the system, focusing on foundation skills learning. So that njengoba uleqa grade 12 pass rate abe organic this time around, azalwe la pass rate ka grade 12 ngu grade R walapha province. Meaning there must be a systemic organic improvement of the foundation phase and the GETC band, so as to cap the unnecessarily expenditure on interventions that are happening in grade 12. One amongst those things, otitshala base high school balale esikolweni. Balale esikolweni because awutitshala be GETC band akukho tool iba determinayo whether they are in the right track or not. So we need to massively take that GETC certificate almost to all grade 9s in the province very quickly, because the minister has already taken that decision and piloting it in the province. And I'm then saying, Mr. Sokchika, you just need to massively look into that, whether must you continue with the districts that are piloting it, or must you make it a norm in the province that all grade 9 undergo that. Because ultimately all of them in this country are going to go to grade 9 certification. So why do you choose few districts? Let's just take it once and for all and see what is going to happen. Because I'm saying to you, isizathu sokulala kotishala base high school, into bana utishala be primary schooling system, akukho nto ibabophelelayo ba, yeah man, anifiki kule target funeka nikuyo. And hence I'm saying that's one area that must be resolved as we go along. The second one, colleagues, in my view, that would need an intensive systemic engagement in the top management and the people of the province is on how we deal with the issue of accruals. I've picked up through the good work that has been done by these DTGs, that we have got 92 families that you cannot pay them their pensions. Now let's look in terms of the law. Whether is it not proper for us to consult Department of Justice and look into the master of the court, the estate, to offload such kind of responsibilities to them? Because remember, you will not be able to pay those families up until a declaration order by the Department of Justice. And I'm then saying, is there any policy that restricts us in forcing the estate to make a declaration on those families? Ngokhawuleza. Because isaba rongo into osweleka komnikazi wemali okanye kusweleka abantu bebefanele bayabenefita emalini because urhulumente ugcine imali. Akakwazi uyireleasa ubotshwe izandla nenawo ngenxa ye-family feuds. So I'm saying that's one area that I think must also be dealt with and deal with it. Lastly, colleagues, these DTGs initiated a very good program of aviation school in Port Alfred. We can't, DTG Jwakati, allow that aviation school to close. That program that you have started, let's finish it as COM. This is the first and the last aviation school in this country. And unfortunately, that faculty is expensive for the people of this province and for the people of this country. You can't allow it to vanish because for an individual learner to be enrolled there, Ms. Tag, you need a 1 million rand. And I'm saying, all of us here, we can't have our kids in that institution. So there must be a need of a policy shift in government, redirect aviation sitters either to education or also have either a memorandum of understanding between Department of Transport and the Department of Education so as to tap to the aviation sitter in defense of the families that wants their kids to do aviation faculty. Otherwise, you run a risk here as a nation of having pilots that are foreign nationals very soon. If you go to Port Alfred, give yourself time and request just 10 or 30 minutes of your time with the management of that institution. Just do a research. How many that are South Africans that are doing aviation there? And if they are keen, what are the implications of that? So are you suggesting that in a short space of time, you might have pilots that are not necessarily South Africans? So I'm saying those are areas that I feel very strongly that with the competent management that we have, at least we can resolve them. Unfortunately, we could not resolve them during this term, but the coming leadership of the sector, within that particular 5-year term, they must resolve those issues so that we can be able to put the people of the province in a better pedestal. My apologies, Program Director, for having taken a bit of your time.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Honorable MEC. I can imagine MEC was that one teacher that his students did not like much. Because every time he comes to the class, he will give you a lot of work to do in the class, and you'll have a lot of homework going back home. You must do a lot of thinking, in whatever that you do. So he always gives us homework on parties every time he talks to us. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the time now for you, media houses, people, to ask questions to the Honorable MEC. And I will highlight, colleagues, that MEC is not alone. He's got his DDGs to assist him with the questions that will be coming from the floor. And as you stand up, colleagues, to ask those questions, you'll introduce yourself and which media house you are coming from, and then shoot with the question. I've got number one. I've got one hand here. Is there another hand? Is there another hand? Number two. Another hand. Okay, let's start with the two for now, and then we will see if there are follow-up questions later on.
All right, Ngos. Ndingusowana Somkati ku Mtanzania FM. Okokuqala masibulele ngepresentation ka MEC. Masibulele Nkosi kakhulu MEC. Inhle ityebile ndiyavakala. Mine for us ndicela nje ucheck icha MEC. Njengokuba nje, of course you have mentioned no Mama Mastop that on the 15th of December there could be another meeting. Yeah, ndizamu check icha man. Ndike ndaseva before kwinto ye district education forum eBuffalo City. Pa ububa ne situation apho kule issue scholar transport, because kanga ichaphazelo MEC, and it's very much critical. Abantu bayawuya kutata umcanda eRhubusane ufumaniseke into bana sizotoyitoyela transport. Utata umcanda athi hayi nantsi leta ndiyibhalile into ikosidumbi kwa transport umzekelo. So i-situation enjeyana as a department ni resolve njani? Ingaba ninazo bilateral meetings with the Department of Transport, because this challenge izawuphinda ivele ngoJanuary, I know, and kuzawutshiswa indlela. Ingaba ninazo meetings MEC mhlawumbi no MEC Unqatha, such that you check around that sizawuncediseka kanjani, such that abantu bakuthi ngabukwezadoyitoyi, because zizakwenzeka. Zithini i-plans ezikhoyo in terms of kulo mcimbi weskola transport? Enkosi.
Benzocela xa egqibile uMEC uphendula icolleague lena yam asiphe just a little bit i-rap yesiXhosa yanguSiviwe Mahlahla from iBCM TV.
Maybe we can answer that one. And after we've answered these questions, and we will allow colleagues to have one-on-one interviews, as we normally do with the MEC. All right, let me hand over to your MEC and your DDGs just to attend to that question of Iskola Transport.
Enkosi kakhulu for the question. It's a big problem in the sense that there was a function shift from education to DOT. But education responsibility was to manage demand where is scholar transport required. From 2019 to 2020, we were transporting something in the region of 135,000 kids. And it's even worse getting a COVID, because we had to deal with double shifting. Abandwan. Abanya will go in the morning, others in the afternoon. Then, towards the end of the financial year, last year, we had a message from DOT that they no longer have a budget for 135,000. They are requesting that we slash down the figures to 103,000. Now, the implications of that is that you had routes that you had allocated. Because of budgets, then you have to cut. So what we said to the districts is that when you manage demand and supply, what are you prioritizing? Grade 12 kids, you cannot leave them out because they must be in school. Number two, kids whose schools were closed because of rationalization who are almost underage, who cannot afford to walk long distances, we have to prioritize that. Three, kids who have no other school in the vicinity between home, so prioritize our So districts, they do all they can to decide into Kokbana. EBCM, I was given, let's say 25,000 kids out of that 103,000. How am I going to distribute it? BCM takes that decision. And BCM then has a responsibility to communicate to all parents to say, these are the routes as a BCM, and we have no more routes that we are going to provide. Londoke, it's not about whether education has chosen to. It's because there was a budget pressure from DOT and they stopped it. Okwesibini kulo mcimbi uthethayo we-collaboration, we have a joint task team, education and transport, and we meet at our levels, DDGs, chief directors and directors, to talk about challenges. Then periodically we report to the two MECs, bring them together to give them a report back. The main challenge is budget, ayikho. So if there could be an ease of budget based on the numbers that we have, then I should think the issue of scholar transport could be sorted. However, DOT may undertake a review process internally, although they have not yet shared with us the outcomes, just to look at what are they paying for, what are bogus, scholar transport claims, what are true scholar transport claims. So we then requested them to clean up that so that the true value and the cost account of that is a reflection of the total number of kids. On our side, we have to make sure that every kid has an ID, and every kid has a school with an MS number. So just to make sure on the validity, and whether we can verify our children. So we have embarked on that. So we decided to improve the system yet so that there could be a bit of reliability on learner data. We captured abantwana on SASMs. Now each school, as a principal, uzaba nabantwana baku-scholar transport, we request that they capture them, learner number, with ID, names, and everything. So, xa sibanika la database, asisasebenzi ngoku nge-manuscripts zamaphepha. We send them an electronic version. Then they can look at that version to see whether it fits in the criteria, are they within policy, and all of that. I think the only challenge that we've had, are your unrecorded learners without IDs. And the dilemma to esinayo is that there's a court ruling on that. With the school nutrition, we excluded them because AGA was bad. Now, coming back to these issues of scholar transport, we told them straight that we cannot exclude children without IDs because the Constitutional Court has ruled against us, because the children's right issue. So it's a project that is well managed. Its main challenge is budget allocation. And I don't think with the cuts that we have, we are going to see any address to that challenge. So we are managing very well. We now have even included OTP in managing it. We have a crack team that we have set up. The Department of Transport has also designed a scholar transport management system within DOT, which makes our work much more easier. So as we deposit data to DOT, they then set up the data, they put it in the allocated routes. Otherwise, in terms of, district, it's about a district taking a decision that in the light of money available, who am I transporting, who am I not transporting? Thank you.
No, I think, Mr. Kyolatine, we know recently that something more than as much about the sales and about education. As we speak, UNESCO says and then primary. And now, fortunately, we see the transport. But abantwana bayazibhatalela abazali ayidiphume transport apha Department of Transport. You see, so there is a challenge ekhoyo, even if mhlawumbe kukwa transport. Ngelaa xesha ndandikhe ndakhokela phaa kwi-District Education Forum, you'll find out in 2018 kunenani elingatshintshiyo lokutransportwa for a couple of years if mhlawumbe ngu-12,388 ngo-2018 nango-2019 nango-2020 ufumaniseke into yobana no ikhona i-challenge apho kaloku amanani ayenyuka yehla umzekelo mhlawumbi even if mhlawumbi ahle ngo-2 okanye mhlawumbi ngo-1 but ngelaa xesha ufumaniseke into yobana no ikhona i-challenge ekhoyo apho because awehli awanyuki la manani uyayibo that's the another challenge so fortunately ke i-department of transport ithatha amanani kwa-education and then education naba bantu esicela usitransportele bona you see I think those are other challenges mhlawumbi as i-department mhlawumbi to make it a point that nanga amanani yebo awuyani mhlawumbi kune-ghost ntontoni kufuna zilayishiwe na you see so uzama ukhusela ndenza umzekelo uzama ukhusela even i-department of education kwelinye icala so ziyanideke eza meetings ngoku umzekelo uyafumaniseka into yobana kukho ileta ndandiboniswa ngutata umcanda that hayi sibhalele napha ikubo ipha kosidumbi and nyhani ufumaniseka into yobana umzekelo khona onye uprincipal bendicokola naye umzekelo kwesinye isikolo kwapha that hey sine-challenge ngoku and i-challenge ayisekho kwa-education ikwa-transport but at the end of the day abazali uyawufumanisa into yona bayaya erhubisana bayayitoyitoya so ndizama u-emphasize MEC ne-members that nyhani kuyanid to-emphasizwa le nto phaa kwa-transport that guys at the end of the day nathi yasichaphazela le nto you see so nyhani ikhona i-challenge ekhoyo phaa kwa-transport enkosi.
Can I take it, Dr. Mdleko? Yes. Colleagues, on Wednesday this week, the cabinet said, upon the report that the DDG Jogati is raising, was this question. The fall short of the budget that Transport was presenting through the crack team led by Dr. Wagner was 70 million, which Department of Transport is not having. And that 70 million was not a problem now, was a problem around September. But out of the engagement, we told them in no uncertain terms that, look here, we are not going to drop learners during the examinations period. Whether government have money or not, that is immaterial. Now, that forces then Department of Transport to come to Cabinet Wednesday this week. Because remember, for them to be granted that financial relief, you need a Cabinet minute. Now, on Wednesday, we agreed to give them SCOMO. That's 70 million. But remember, that 70 million can cover them from September to date. Because in terms of the report that they were giving to us, was that December has been phased out. That's another phenomenon which was a problem in that scholar transport thing. You have got people that are claiming December. That December is not part of the calendar in terms of the schooling. Now they were cleaning the inefficiencies on that one. So we were preparing ourselves on Wednesday in order for us to have a transitional period that can make January to start on a fresh mandate. That's what the cabinet of Wednesday was discussing and resolve. But two, for them to be able to meet the demand between January and March, the end of the financial year, they need another cabinet minute, which we agreed that the Premier must convene another cabinet meeting before the 15th of December to look into the inefficiencies that we are talking about. Because remember, they requested 300 million on the Department of Treasury and Finance. But Department of Treasury and Finance gave them 127 instead of the 300 million that they requested. So in essence, to be blunt to you, Scholar transport is an unfunded mandate by government, to be blunt. Now, what we were then saying, Wednesday, was to say, look, let's clear up the debts that have been created between September and the 30th of December using this facility of 70 million. But the cabinet that must sit before Christmas must then respond on the financial request of the Department of Transport so that we can be able to close the financial year. Ungabi nala ngxaki besenayo 2022 yongakwazi uqala unyaka because onoteksi bathreatenisha ngongakwazi ukhwelisa abantwana babantu. So I am then saying, I can assure you that government has already taken that decision, and we are busy cleaning up the data. We are busy investigating some scrupulous transactions there. We are busy investigating some scrupulous, what you call routes, which has not been there. The unfortunate part of it, DDG Twakati, on that, I can tell you, once in government you investigate people, expect resistance and expect strikes in January. Because abayiqhelanga into ixelelwa into yokuba ayizukwenzeka lento uqhela uyenza apha. Leyo bana sizibhaqa sibhatala iroute enengxaki. I was saying to HOD in the top management of the department that is sitting on the 6th. One debate that this department must engage Sokjika and the DDGs on the 6th and 7th. Why do you have scholar transport in Sarapatman when you have got 17 school hostels that are underutilized? That debate must be engaged there so that you may not be able to take Sarapatman out of the scholar transport now. But in the next coming 3 years, how do you then phase out these areas that has got a potential of inhabiting learners inside schools, so as to ease the financial constraint that government is having? I know that is a fight, because kwabanye abantu iskola transport business. Njeba wena uyenza into yobana isikolo sakho sistabilize, because it has got serious political implications and economic implications. So I'm saying we are busy occupied on the discussion on bringing a best model that can make us at least to have a better suitable operational plan for us. We can't resolve them now, because I'm saying even if you have got 17 underutilized hostels in Sarapatman, you can't say Sarapatman must get out of scholar transport now, because you need to revamp those hostels, and you need to change B5 in terms of law from an infrastructure point of view. You need to change the infrastructure plan of the department, and you need to engage Treasury to understand why B5 must be changed. Because nabo bangayingxaki ngenye ixesha but hayi i-blueprint yakho ithi u-B5 wakho unje. So yebo. So I'm saying those are the discussions that DDGs are engaged over this week, which we must find the space and time as we go to the retreat on the 6th and 7th. Find a way of bringing a discussion, even if we are not going to resolve them now, but give some indications that in the next coming government, that is starting by July next year, these are the gray areas that must be resolved within that 5 years. Thanks, Program Director.
Sure, colleagues, we are all satisfied now. May I request that we start with showcasing the system that is in here before we can have the one-on-one interviews. Colleagues, if you agree with me. Mamum Kona ke no Sis Noblal are going to lead us, go inside so that we can view the system operations. Siyaz basteta ngento esibonayo nesiyaziyo. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Viwa Mkona. Okay. Igama lam ndinguVuwe Mkona. I'm the deputy director in the. Sizawuqala apha ndichaze nje uba this is our receiving area le ndawo sikuyo with a reception desk there kukho umuntu that is receiving our guests on a daily basis. I-delegations zethu zifikela apha, i-clients zethu zifikela apha. Before we proceed ke to i-call center, i-call center yethu ke isi-space sethu apho we maintain i-peace and quiet, because i-call center yethu as a whole is a walk-in center and a call center. So we're going to proceed from here to that other side. Imam Linde. Molweni kwakhona. Molweni kwakhona. Sifikile ke ngoku call center yethu. Siyazibona call center agents, they are busy, they are working. Our call center has got a staff complement of 11, as you can see now. I'll just give a brief report on the status quo in terms of how we receive calls and how many calls do we receive a week and a month. The average calls a day is 100. Total calls per week is 493. That is for only this month. And then it differs with our peak times. Our peak times normally, when we have, they vary when we have projects run by the department. For instance, our Live Gratuity project, that is run by the department. And then our normal core business, that is our admissions and children that are writing exams, certificates, reprint, and as this is our Puma uqala konyaka. I'm going to touch base on what MEC has said earlier on. Ute MEC Paya, communicators, gone are the days where communicators were the only ones that were utilizing social media platforms. Indeed, I can attest to that by a form of a testimony that is going to be played on that screen right now. Manditsho ke ukuba usinikile imvume uPortia to ukusebenzisa ivideo. As you can see, Portia is in PE. Uyenzile ivideo from PE. Ivideo asinike yona ngokwakhe. Now, what we are going to do, we want to demonstrate. I'm not sure whether nithe uMC uzawufona. Go phone yena. Uzawufona uLali and then
Call center, ne?
yes, Dad. Yes. Sasebenza? Yes, you can go ahead and call. Because we want to show, okay.
Press 1. For isiXhosa,
That's that.
press 3. O amohele Lefapheng la Thuto mona Kapa Botjhabela ka ho thusa.
Okay. Untswaki uyiphikishile i-call. I hope wonke umuntu captured the moment where she was speaking in her own language. Okay, she was speaking in Sesotho because we've got 4 languages that we offer up at a call center, that is Afrikaans, English, Xhosa, and Sesotho. Now, if we were gonna log a call, Unswaki was going to show us onto the CRM system that is in front of us. I'm not sure, Pablo, if we can't use that one on the screen rather than the small one so that everybody can turn on this side. You just create a new case because, okay, just create a new case. I'm moving from eBhayi, uqolo MEC ndisenza imzekelo nge-admissions. I'm moving from eBhayi ndiza eMonti, umntana makana sikolo. Igama lam nguViwe Mkona, capture Richard or Pablo capture. Okay. Leanne, can you please capture? My name is Viwe Mkona. Ndifuna isikolo ndisuka eBhayi. I'm moving from eBhayi to East London. You want my
Hi, Mrs. Brimkona. I'd like to ask is, are you a teacher? Are you a parent?
I'm a parent. Yes. We can all see on the big screen, eh? Okay. So the day-to-day is the first. Then it's a relocation from Port Elizabeth to East London. And I will be staying in Stirling. So I'm looking for a school around Stirling. Okay, it's a relocation from Port Elizabeth to East London, and I will be staying around Stirling. So I'm looking for a school. Okay, it's fine, Pablo. Then you want my details, right? My number is 0833 0833 244 308. Email, yes, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. You don't need my email address because you could be contacting me via telephone. Okay.
Is there anything else you'd like to further report besides that you have given me.
No, sir.
I'd like to escalate this to the relevant department.
No, faka kuli end because nguye uzawudilishana nayo apha. A call center, ke, we've got e-call center agents as it different. We know that Uli N. Hosen, who's our African-speaking person, she is the main person who's dealing with admissions at a call center. Every time there's an admission issue, we allocate it to Uli N. Uli N will run with it. As soon as the case has been, there's a case number, it has been generated, #929. As soon as Uli N picks up the case, she will contact the client, and after that, she will furnish the client with a case number, and then we'll take it from there. I'm sure that I will get a school come January. Come January, applied in November. Okay. Yes, please. Okay, I will give Mr. Pindelo to explain the stages.
Morning, afternoon. I'm the system controller for the citizen care system. As you can see here, the case has been created. The client would give them the case number there, and then depending on if the case is, let's say, solved upon the call, we would immediately close the case. So now this is very important because this now gives us a trail. So I haven't closed the case first, I just wanted to see you. So now we have order. The citizen care has ordered their case is a new case. So should the case be, as you can see, in progress, or should it be resolved, we will then, or the agent, or the call center agent will then open the case and close it. And the main important thing here is that there is a trail, an audit trail. So now information is always captured as to what the agent did, when, and what, and which agent, which is very important. What stages did the case go from? As you can see here, at 11:22 it was created, and the case number was generated. And then from 11:24, I, Luabalo, took the case from a new case to close. So now this is very important so that when the client calls back again, the agents have the relevant information to say, yes, sir, we have dealt with your case, and at a certain time, and a certain person did take this case from new to close. Should that person perhaps not be satisfied, we can reopen the case, and it can go back to in progress. As you can see, it moves on to in progress. So this is very vital for the call center as it shows how from the stages from the beginning to the end. Oh, okay, and the Facebook, and as well, this system, we have quite a few things. Our social media platforms. So we get queries with WhatsApp. So our call center agents, as you can see here, the agents will be able to tell where the query is coming from. The platform is here, the channel, in this instance, is Facebook. The client is the client's name, and it actually tells us everything here, to start up the conversation, all the relevant information that we need. So should an agent want to deal with a WhatsApp, for instance, the agent will search for a WhatsApp. Excuse me. I cannot see. No, it's not that. And we can see here, these are actual people who have contacted, who have saved the citizen care number on their cell phones and have texted us, and these are them. So all of us here can take the number, save it, and when you send us a message, we have a generated response, we have same time responses from the agents that can actually answer them. So now this is actually very good because now we no longer have to rely on just phone calls. And obviously in a technology times, everyone has a smartphone. So you can use WhatsApp, you can use Facebook as well. So you can see here that these Facebooks and WhatsApps are distributed evenly amongst us so that the agents can respond to queries as soon as possible or upon request. Turnaround time, also, the system is also automated, or there are automation rules, for instance, that we have escalations. So for instance, if a matter is of high priority, the system can also tag this query if it needs urgent, how can I say this? Attention. Yes, so if something needs urgent attention, for instance, I would say a kid being bullied, we have an escalation or automation rule which, when the agent highlights it as an urgent matter, it immediately escalates it to the programmed or the relevant people in a certain department. So the back office, depending on who it is, it will go straight to them. And should that person, I'm not saying that they don't, but should that person take more than the expected time to give attention to the query or actually resolve it, it will alert, it will further on and escalate this query to maybe their senior. So now this creates something of urgency where this is an important matter and it should be dealt. So now depending on the matter and depending on the level of organization or the organizational structure, the time between those cases is shorter. So for instance, from an agent to the manager, we would give it more time. But if it's something of very high priority or very serious, it could be the system is programmed to have a response time of way less, maybe 30 minutes, depending on the urgency of the matter. So I don't know how to explain how important that is, because customer service is all about queries being resolved and clients being answered to. It could be the smallest thing, someone finding out, where do I do this? But they don't have to call. As soon as they can WhatsApp it, we can tell them straight away, sir, this is how this can be done. Oh, thank you very much. You're welcome. While we're turning to people on calls, while people are doing this on WhatsApps as well. And also, it also brings a very good organization in terms of bringing the agents and also other back-end or back-office departments. Now, we no longer have to do the old school way of calling HR department and, hey, did you see this? No. They are all in the system. As soon as anything HR related kicks into the system, HR department knows. As soon as anything exams related, exam people know, which is the key thing, instead of agents, because now remember the agents are the first line, let's say, of defense when people call. So people always, the last thing we need is the blame is always put on the agents. The agent has a certain amount of responsibilities that he should do, but now if the agent has done their job as to escalating it to, let's say, the HR, now there's always that gap of knowledge of, does HR know? In this instance, they will know. They will be notified through their means, so they can even select how they want to be notified. They can select it through their emails. The system even has sorry, let me show you this. This was the first page you have seen. This is a company pulse. This is very important. This shows us how the company or people within the system are using it. When are we mostly active? When do queries come in? As you can see here, between obviously 9 and 12, people are calling. This is our activity. This is when we are most busy. What platforms, where are we actually busy? You can see here on chat and videos, tasks and projects, we don't have any yet, and CRM. And also we have mobile apps. This system, you can have it on your phone. So if you're at home or if you're on the go and a matter needs urgent attention, not anyone else, let's say Leanne by her name, she can have the system on her phone and she can reply.
if then the school notices something about a child and they need advice of a social worker, because with a social worker per CMC, then they log through or then they activate so that the social worker can run to the school. Then the second one is that we are connecting all our subject advisors through the system. And children will have a toll-free line. For example, I have a maths problem. Then I log in immediately. What? You log in immediately and then the call center then redirects the question to the subject advisor so that the subject advisor can reply to the learner directly. So this is what kickstarting beginning of the year so that it doesn't become an exams issue only, but throughout the year, children can interact with subject specialists that who are basically into the system. So it's going to be a very useful system. Exams is already running with it. If there's a fair certificates and everything, so it's no longer going to be requiring people to queue up at exams. They log in and then will run with their problems. And I should think that's where the value is. Thank you. I just wanted to add that.
I think Nyami, we are done with Kala. So we'll just.
Facebook pages ne zezi departments ndiyafuna ukuyikhomenda le ye Department of Education because le ka MEC umzekelo whoever is the admin or the admins, they are doing a very sterling job there because I'm following that page. And when it comes to check Charlie, yakwa education, check chezinye. Umzekelo kule ka MEC iyakwazi create ne jokes and so on pa. Sesibana ku i-vibe nje la nto la page ka MEC. Yebo, uyakwazi uyibona nje ba inikisa umdla. Yebo. And for that matter into ezifana nezi zokubani bekanti abantu bayaphendulwa when it comes to post something, that's another thing. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. I think let's go back to this side. Simcela umphathiswa as attended his interviews.